Hey, this is Great Zach Tate. I am going to teach you how to be a best-selling author. How did I get started? I'm giving away $5,000 today because that's what I would usually charge for an hour of my time doing a workshop on this. So I decided in the benevolence of my heart to give it away. So I wrote 25 books, had a New York Times bestseller that I ghost wrote for someone else, ghost wrote 6 different books, and I'm going to give it away for the next few minutes for free. So I'm going to give you a moment. Go get your pen, pad, get your notes together, get everything situated so we can begin. I'm going to give you 7 seconds. Go. All you have to do is press stop and start all over. So 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. How do you become a best-selling author? First thing I want to say is just write. A lot of people who are writers, because there's a difference. Writers, we write because we have to, not because we want to. No matter what we do, no matter how much money we have, no matter how many jobs we have, no matter what we're doing, we write because we have to. Let me be the first to tell you that the pay for selling books suck. You listen to these people, oh, I'm going to put an ebook pamphlet together of 19 pages and sell it for $20, and they're proud of that. They're not writers, they're hustlers. Anybody can publish anything nowadays and just say, I'm an author. They could identify themselves as whatever they want to. But if you really want to do some work, you got that story. Everybody has a story to tell. You have that autobiography inside of you. You have that bestseller, that self-help. Let me show you, because I wrote them all, and I want to help you. So the first thing we have to look at is why. What is your why? Number one, why? Why would your book be so important? So many people, they're like, yo, I got an idea for a book. There are no original ideas. The reason why when we do academic papers, they ask you for a bibliography, they ask you for a reference, because they believe that someone else somewhere has had this same thought as you. In your mind, because in your imagination, you see these vivid images, you are sure that since you are loving it, everyone else will love it. That is not true. There are so many books that are published that no one ever reads. Trust me. We're in a day and age where people are more interested in something like an Audible, something that is simply read, easy to read, or something to watch on video, rather than sitting down and allowing their imagination to be educated. They rather get it the easy way because they're not really readers. But there's a strong, solid 100,000 or so readers who from word of mouth will spread about your book and they'll pick it up. But for your book to stand out above all other books, it means that your writing, your editing, your perfection, the value you have instilled, the things that they can identify with, the way they get entrapped into the storyline is what makes them spread the word of mouth. Now, as an author whose word counts are usually over 300,000 words, I'm always criticized and told your books are too long. There's so much money that I'm losing because I'm told your books are too long. People who will take one of my books and break it up into 4 parts and sell it at 100 pages at a time, they will be able to typeset it, which we will get on in another video, what typesetting is. And they will milk it and hustle it. But that's not what I write for. I write for people to read stories that I wish somebody wrote. I write what I want to read. And when I couldn't find it, I started writing it. So most of my novels are romantic crime fiction because that's what I relate to. That's what's close home to me. That's my why. Why did you write a romantic crime fiction novel? Because when urban fiction exploded and publishing got a little more easier, I saw all these books and to me they were just garbage. So I said to myself, where's the sophisticated street person at? Where's the person that we were exposed to millions of dollars and we lived a white collar lifestyle, but we were doing dirt? So that's what I wrote about. So your why should be something that is very dear to you, something that other people can relate to, something that motivates you. And The 20 plus years that I've been writing, I have never ever had writer's block. I am so far behind in my writing schedule because if it was up to me, I would sit in the house every day and just write and be left alone. The world that I build in my writing is much more entertaining than the world that's out there. So that's part of my why. What is your why? Why you? What is going to make your book stand out? What makes you so special? I guarantee you there's something inside of you that answers those questions. But it's up to you to find it, and I'm going to teach you how to do that. After you have discovered why, you are now motivated. You understand, yes, my story can compete with what's out there because hopefully you're reading. And if you're not reading, hopefully it is something that is validating your mindset that what you have to offer is going to add value to everyone else's life. It's not just a bunch of events that you're telling me about. It actually lines up. So after you have discovered your why is when you start creating your outline. I have people all the time, oh, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book. Or I wrote a book. Or I wrote this book. When you start reading a book, it's clear that they have no outline. People, as a public speaker, I always watch people's video. Why do I turn off after the first few minutes or first few seconds? Is because I can tell you have no outline. You're just rambling. It sounds good to you, so you think it's going to sound good to the whole world. And it doesn't because there's no outline. What an outline does is basically your navigational system. It's helping you get through this journey of putting together this body of work. So how do I start my outline, Zach? Real simple. What I do, first and foremost, I'm going to give you the major tricks of the trade that I do. For every book that I begin, I go buy a composition book. The black and white old school composition book. What I do is I turn the pages over and I make sections in the book. The first section is for my notes. The second section will be for my characters. The third section will be particular character flaws or qualities. Everybody does not talk the same. Everyone doesn't have the same gestures. Everybody doesn't have the way that they evoke or enunciate. Some people have slang. Some people don't. Some people have accents, heavy accents, light accents. Some people have repetitive, know what I mean? Know what I'm saying? And that's how they speak. When conversing, which would be a dialogue, two different people or more continuously talking with each other, there are nuances, little things in each of the characters, but we'll get to that. In your outline, the main thing is one section is the beginning. You want to write out the start. How does your book start off? What's going to grab me? Because here's the key, another lesson. I'm just giving it away. Your first sentence of your book is what's going to get me through the first paragraph. Your first paragraph is what's going to get me through the first page. That first page is what's going to get me through that first chapter. That first chapter is going to make me want to get to the whole end of the book. So in another video, I'm going to teach you how to drop certain little cues and little signals and little hidden nuggets that make people always have these question marks that they want to know, how are these things going to get answered while I'm reading this book? That is a skill that has to be developed, but it's okay. I will teach you in another video. When you have your start and you have it breaking down in your section, what is your beginning? Don't try to start the beginning line. First, start writing out different options, alternate beginnings. What's important about the beginning? Have a section in your notebook that says beginning and start writing out what's important in the beginning. Where do I want this book to start? If it's an autobiography like I wrote, 9 times I wrote my autobiography over, but I generally write all of my books 9 times, except for the self-help ones. So you go over and you reread and you rewrite and you reread and you rewrite and you reread and you rewrite, and then you get an editor. So when you have your beginnings, you have to decide where in the beginning. Boom. Once you got that part down, what are the key factors in your beginning? Can you write a small paragraph on your key factors? They could be 5 key factors, 10, 25 key factors. Can you write a small paragraph on each key factor of the beginning of your book? When you can do that, you have a lot of material already built up and ready to start writing. Then you're going to have another section. Guess what that section is going to be? Yes, you answered correctly. That is the middle. What is the juice of the book? What really starts unfolding by the time we get to the middle of the book? By then, we have been introduced to the characters. By then, we should know what a plot is. By then, you should know what the subplot is. Some of us, another nugget that I'm giving away is, in my books, you're going to see multiple subplots. I like to take people's brain and I like to spread it apart and tell multiple stories that are going on at the same time. It keeps the reader so active. It allows me to flush out my imagination. It keeps you locked in so you can call out from work. So with that, all those different subplots, they start really separating and taking shape and form in these characters and all these characters' conflicts. So what allows us to want to read a book, what allows a book to be our favorite book, is the character has overcome a conflict that you have established in the beginning. They have something they have to get over, get under, get around, get away from, or get closer to. It's a conflict in their life that their life may be in jeopardy. They only have a short amount of time to get it. That's the pressure that they're under, the intensity. Or they have just a story to tell through that character where, based on this conflict, like say they were molested as children and this is how they overcame it. The conflict that started the person to be who they are. We want to find out how that character became that character. So by the middle, you should start unpacking that, but leaving more mini conflicts and more other nuggets, what I will teach you in another video. That should be all in your middle. Then the last section, not the last section, but a section that completes the last section of the book is your ending. Ooh, you want an ending that's making them just want more. You want an ending that when people read it, they go, oh my God, I didn't think that was going to happen. You want to leave some cliffhangers. You want to leave some really juicy more nuggets so they can ask you what's part 2. I don't write part 2 to novels on purpose. People hate me for it, but so what? If you pay attention to what book come in what order, you may run across some characters from the other books if you really pay attention. But to do a part 2 book for me, because I have so many books that I want to write, it's kind of like cheating. But that doesn't mean it won't work for you. A series, I can name 1,000 series that really work for author. One of them that comes to mind is Walter Mosley, his easy rolling detective novels. It's a series after series after series, and you just fall in love with all of them. The list goes on of authors that do this, and I might do it one day when I'm in my 60s or so, God willing. So, what is the ending? How did you tie up all these subplots? How did you show the character overcoming one conflict after another conflict after another conflict? What is a conflict? Okay, I won't let you wait till another video. A conflict is something that is troubling, life-altering for the character. Now, even if you are writing an autobiography or a nonfiction book and you are talking about a person, which is yourself, you are still a character in that book. You have become a character. There's a way to display it through first person, where your voice is just like talking to the reader, or third person, where you step out of yourself and you say, Zach did this, Zach did that, Zach did that, Zach thought this, Zach, third person. So there are different tricks of the trade and different way to do that. My suggestion is if you start with first person, end with first person. If you start with third person, end with third person. Because if you don't, you look like a clear amateur. And I'm going to have another short video about amateur flaws. After you have reached your beginning, your middle, and your ending, Your next stage is make a section in your notebook about characters. I want to know what they look like, what their favorite little things is, what are their nuances, what are the things that they love to eat, what are their character flaws, what are the flaws in the way they talk. Do they have a chipped tooth? Do they have a way that they always rubbing their nose? He rubbed his nose when he did this. He keeps rubbing his nose. Why? Because you find out later that he has a cocaine addiction or something. Because when you get to know people, you start realizing their nuances. I got a brother, he goes, I know. And he didn't even hear the whole sentence, but he says, I know, to whatever you're talking about. He may not even be aware that he's doing it. Or he may sniffle because he has a sinus issue. That sinus issue could be a tidbit depending, like say you're writing a mystery, and the person said the person kept sniffling, and you have a character that keeps sniffling, but really it's a whole nother character. Through the whole book, we're thinking it's one person, and you switched it on us and did a plot twist, which you'll learn about in another video. I'm just giving you the beginning so you can get started and find the beauty of tapping into your imagination and feeding the rest of the world for it. So once you start developing each character, different nuances, how do all my characters, for the most part, are real people I've come in contact with, and I give them that real person's name. I actually take a person and put them in my books. Now, I might, expound on their character, or I might give them a little different limp or a different way they move or something, but I am inspired by those people, and I honor those people by putting them in my books. Unfortunately, some people would think they have to be paid for it. They don't see it as a compliment or honor. What they'll see is as an opportunity. So be careful who you choose to make a character in your book, because friends today becomes enemies tomorrow. Once you start developing each character, spend a lot of time doing it. Like really examine little nuances. Start writing some notes about each character. Like give him a page or 2 pages. That's what I do. I generally give a character, if it's the main character, I give him like 3 pages of notes. He or she likes to do this. He or she observes this. He or she likes art. He or she's favorite song is this. He or she, every time they get in the car, they only listen to this. He or she, notes that develop the character, and you find ways of dropping it in to make people more gravitate, identify, relate to, because they do the same thing, or share some of the things that your character have. Your fourth part is notes. Notes about the time. Okay, let me start this way. Let's think about your five senses. In every scene, be able to express 5 senses. What does the character see? What does it may taste like, smell like? What does the character hear? What can they feel? What kind of vibe, spiritual sixth sense that they feel in going in? It is a skill to develop it, but it is also a great challenge for you to overcome once you start learning how to do that. It may take you a year just learning how to do that. Do it. Have fun with it. Enjoy it. And if writing is tedious or a hassle to you, it's not for you. If it flows easy and you can just keep going and going, you just love expressing yourself that way, believe me, it's going to be some sweat, some tears, and some crying, or you just going to make trash. But if you really want to make something where people walk up to me all the time and say, look, man, that book, No Way Out, changed my life. That book, Lost and Turned Out, oh my God, it changed my life. That's because I took extra time. Now, the fifth and most important thing is, who's your competition? Who is your competition? Because whoever is writing the exact book that you want to write, you better read at least 5 or 6 authors that's doing the same thing and hold that notebook in your hand. Because when you're reading how they have perfected it, things are going to jump out at you that you don't know. Like, oh my God. For an example, I made up my mind when I was writing Gambling with Hearts. I said to myself, Eric Jerome Dickey, may he rest in peace, is my competition. I am going to literally knock this guy out the box and take his throne. So Since I looked at it competitively, I just started reading all Eric Jerome Dickey's books. And there was one book when a female was giving a man oral sex, and she described what it smelled like. As a heterosexual man, I would have never known that. The way he described it, I put the book down. I said, "Oh my God, this guy, how did he know that?" It is until later when I started reading acknowledgments that I learned that he consults with a group of women that they read chapter by chapter out loud. And they tell him, no, this is missing and this is missing and this is missing. To me, that's cheating, but nope. Do what he had to do to be the classic king of that romantic fiction that, oh my God, like all praises due to Eric Jerome Dickey, may he rest in peace, because of these little nuances that he's doing there. My last advice, which coincides with your competition, is read some more, and read some more. I remember when I wrote No Way Out, I wrote it in 3 weeks. I didn't know anything about the craft of writing. The book, the original No Way Out, that people are trying to sell for $5,000 online right now, that original book is a rough draft with no technical skills. And I ran into a brother, his name is Anthony, I forget his last name, but we call him J-Rock. And J-Rock came to me and he told me the difference between nodding and shaking your head. Because I was just saying that someone was shaking their head when they were when they were saying yes. And I was doing it all wrong. And he started talking about the technicality. And I was like, yo, how do you know all this? Where did you learn all this? I didn't know. I just wrote from my imagination. And he tore into me. And immediately I went and I ordered 10 books on writing books. I didn't have the ability to go into YouTube at the time and watch it. So I ordered 10 books. I started reading about writing books. And the more I delved at the beginner's guide, the advanced guide, the bestseller's guide, I started reading all these different books on how to write books. And I was like, oh, there's so much that I don't know. And then I got into the habit of reading the same book on writing books before I started writing a book. Now I'm up to 25 books. I haven't published them all. Some of them were written 15, 20. Most of them were written more than 15 years ago. I've never published them. I look at the books that I wrote in the beginning, and I hate the way I wrote back then because I've evolved, I've advanced. But people love that time, that era, those books, so I'll leave it. So don't worry about titles. Don't let the process intimidate you. One of my dads that I adopted, Morris Howard, he taught me when I was intimidated. I said, how can somebody write 300 pages? I don't know where to start. He said, just write and keep writing and then write some more. That's what they have editors for. Best advice that I ever got, I got over my intimidation and I just kept writing. And I would love to write 800-page books, but people don't like reading them. Write what you love to write for you and people like you. Learn the craft. Understand from the beginning, why am I doing this? Learn how to make your outline. Learn how to get your start, your middle, and your ending. Develop those characters, even if it's a non-fictional book and you are talking about people like an autobiography. Understand that. Write those notes down. Some people wait years. They write notes for years and years and years before they begin. Understand who your competition is. Look at how well they're doing it and make up your mind that you want to do it just as well or better. I am Great Zach Tate. I have given you a formula to begin. There is no excuse to win. Just get it done. Just begin. Just write and keep writing. And remember, that's what they have editors for. You will get part 2. I will continue this over and over. I will begin to put this out as an educational platform, but I decided to give this away because so many people keep contacting me about this, and there's so many people ripping people off about writing books and how to get started. And, oh, you can have an ebook published in 30 days and make $40,000 a year off of it. These guys are putting up pamphlets. They got ghostwriters. They just hustling. They're using books as another tool to hustle. They are not writers. They are not authors. They are people stamping their name on it. And I want to do something about saving the craft. I want people who write because they have to stop being intimidated and take the plunge. I'm Great Zach Tate. Make sure you subscribe to YouTube, Great Zach Tate TV. Make sure you subscribe on Google. Make sure you go to Instagram at Great Zach Tate. Facebook is Zach Tate. TikTok, and everywhere else. Thank you for your support. Get out there, start writing. You got it. I'm waiting for your bestseller to begin, but it has to start now.